This is the August 3rd Irving Conservation Commission meeting, and I will let David come.
Right, okay, so we are going to call the meeting to order. I guess it's 6:30, is it not? It's close to it. I don't have a clock anywhere.
6:32.
6:32, thank you. So all the commissioners are here. Do we have any guests listening in? No?
Not that I can see.
Okay. I did invite Ward Smith, but I have not heard back from him. So clearly he's not here. Do we have the July 6th minutes to vote on?
No, those will have the next meeting.
Yeah, okay. So no problem. We will table that vote for now. And so we're already up to item 4, which I just had to call, the whole ball of wax, all aspects of the flooding damage of the storm. And so the very first thing that we need to do is letter A, vote to rescind the emergency certification for North Street and Swamp Road submitted on July 1 due to new information. The background quickly is that I got an urgent request from Brian to certify some emergency work. I went up with Mike and I wrote up the emergency certification on the hood of the truck. And having not, I think I maybe did one in literally since 1984. So I was not up on the specifics that I was supposed to do, and it was quite incomplete. And I think at least Carrie saw it and agreed that it was necessary. However, I did overextend by saying it was okaying repair and replacement, which of course is not at all possible. So at this point, just for your information, you may know that Mariah did a lot of background work and came up with a new emergency certification. So I'm going to make a motion that the original emergency certification be rescinded due to new information.
Second.
And I need a second. Thank you. Any discussion on that before we vote?
David, the date there, I don't know what date you should have for July. Was it in your, yeah.
Oh, yeah, July 1 probably isn't correct.
No.
20th is the correct date.
July 20th.
Yeah.
Is that, so that would be the only thing. So yeah, that's the only thing I wanted to correct. It was the date on it.
Well, actually,
Which one should it be?
no. Yeah, way up. Be sure what you got me confused. I was there on the 19th.
Right.
Start date
Emergency
was the 20th.
declaration. Right.
Yeah. So that's accurate, Mike, as far as I know.
No, July 1.
Okay, because the screenshots, the snapshots that I got the other day.
Oh, I see what you're saying there. I get it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Very.
You don't
Mike, well
July
taken.
20th.
Good. July 20th. I see what you say. I had typed it wrong on the agenda. I thought you were talking about this here.
Oh,
Okay. Thank you, Mike. So any other discussion? Okay, seeing none and hearing none. All those in favor of rescinding that July 20th emergency certification. David Brule, aye.
Carrie Berg, aye.
Thank you.
Mark Blatchley, aye.
Morningstar Chenvin, aye.
Mike Shaffer, aye.
Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you all, and sorry for the detour there. So letter B is a vote to ratify the new emergency certification with specific details concerning the removal of the damaged bridge over Keyup Brook and repair of road erosion new riprap material on North Street. So, have you had a chance to see that? Have you all seen it?
I
The
did.
original damage?
Okay, but I mean, have you seen this emergency certification form?
Yeah.
Or am I the only one? Okay, some have, some haven't, but you can see, if you have not seen it, look at number 6, and it tells what the summary that I believe Mariah and Brian developed. Filled concrete blocks on the retaining wall will be picked up and replaced with a 2-3 foot diameter riprap topped with 10-18 diameter riprap to secure the bank. The gap between the guardrail and the riprap will be backfilled. The edge of the road asphalt will be replaced. So
Can I just ask, what is riprap?
Big rock.
riprap is big chunky rocks that are typically you dumped over the side or sometimes carefully placed. It all depends, but you see them on a lot of banks to prevent erosion. And so it's kind of a chunky Rocky Mountain type of thing. But riprap, that's it. I had a former commissioner who always mistook riprap for riffraff, and so we were dumping riffraff.
The other day when I
off the
heard that mentioned the first time.
So
I
there
didn't know
you
what it
have it. So good. Mariah, do you have a sense of? I guess we'll just go through the typical motion and second and discussion, right?
Yeah, so this has already been signed by David. This work has actually already been done. So you guys will make a motion to ratify it. I'll put it in the foyer of town hall like we do with all of the other documents. And if you guys can come in at your leisure within the next week or so and sign it. We also have a second one. But yeah, I guess you can probably make both motions in one go.
Mhm.
This one is for the Swamp Road Bridge to be removed. Jackhammers will be used to break apart the bridge and abutments, and trucks will haul the concrete and asphalt away, and either end of the bridge will be blocked from traffic. And like David said, this does not include the replacement. The replacement will go through an entirely different permitting process. This is only for the removal.
Right. So I'll entertain a motion to accept both. These are two separate emergency certs, right?
They are.
So I'll make a motion to accept both emergency certifications with the start date of July 28th and the ending date of August 25th. So I make that motion, and a second.
Oh, I'll second.
Thank you. Any more discussion? So we had one question from Morning Star about the riprap term. Mariah flashed a quick picture of what the typical riprap is. You have visited the site, so you can see how that current was coming down straight into the side of the road and had eaten away part of the embankment and exposed some or close to exposing the sewer pipes. So any other discussion, questions of information, points of information?
This is page 1 of the form. Can we flash through 2, 3, and 4?
Yes. The rest of it is just, this is a signature page and there's general conditions. So it doesn't grant any property rights. So we couldn't do this work we couldn't apply to do this work on someone else's property. You still have to comply with other statutes and rules. Any work beyond this, you have to file a notice of intent. You have 30 days.
Do we expect that the work will be accomplished in that time?
The work has already been accomplished for this one, the concrete or the riprap. This one, I think, either was done this week or is going to be done next week. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's a good question.
Clearly they'll be done within the emergency certification timeframe. Good. So any other discussion before the vote? So we're voting on the two emergency certification forms. David Brule, aye.
Carrie Berg, aye.
Mark Blatchley, aye.
Morningstar Shenzhen, I.
And Mike Shaffer.
Mike Schaefer, aye, sorry.
Thank you. No, so it is unanimous. Thank you.
I have a couple of things to add if it's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to be writing one of these for Wheelock Street, which was the side of the road caved in, similar to North Street, but I think it came through where the brook comes down and there's kind of a fire pond on the other side of the road. There's kind of, not quite a retaining wall, but there's kind of a little area where the stream stops a little bit before Route 2. And I believe that's the area that washed out.
Mhm.
That work was already done because it was an emergency. So my understanding is that you guys can still issue the emergency permit. It's just that I believe, David, you even saw the site. So the
I
work's
saw
done, but we still need the permit.
Okay. So is that, do you have that permit for us to sign?
I
Or shall
don't
we
have it
discuss it?
written out. I think
Yeah.
I can tell you what it's going to say. You can vote on it,
Yeah.
and then I can write it out, and you guys can sign it with the
We'll
other
sign
one.
it. Yeah, okay.
So it will say that the edge of the road will be repaired with 9 yards of riprap stone for the washout and 3 yards of hard packed gravel for road repair.
Mhm. Good.
I have-
Anybody?
Where is that located, Mariah, again? Is that the one off the road by the Route 2? Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, like Wheelock Street and Route 2, kind of where those meet.
Just above the fire pond.
Oh, this is Wheelock Street.
Wheelock, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Mhm.
Probably
Does that
Mark-
work? Go ahead, Mark. Mark.
I saw the washout and was there when they were looking at it at one point. I would like to add that a significant amount of water was added to the flow that was doing the undercutting. It came off a driveway at the head of Wheelock where Wheelock makes a turn. The driveway there was came down, put a lot of water, added water to what was going on there. And I don't know if that issue is at all addressed. I haven't been over there to see the work that they're doing,
Mhm.
and I don't see it in the what you've discussed, Mariah. But and I don't know if they wanted to get into that one or not.
Mhm.
Um,
Well,
I'm not
we
familiar
should
with
handle
that.
this first. We should handle this first, and we'll talk about other issues after we have the vote on the work that's already been done, right, Mariah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is after the fact, but it was an extreme emergency. So we'll have a bit of a discussion about other contributing causes in a minute. So the motion, I make a motion that we further accept an emergency certification for the Wheelock Street emergency.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion other than what we had? And Mark's point, well taken. We'll take that up in a minute.
The
Any other
timing,
questions?
I have a question about timing. How do you sign something after it's already been done? I don't, that's my issue with the whole
So
thing.
I think what we would do, and I can double check with Mark Stinson if you'd like, but I think the date of the site visit is still the same. The start date would be the day either of the site visit or after the site visit. And then there isn't even a date for a signature.
But
It's not
we haven't seen, no one's seen it other than Mark. I guess you could go by Mark, but
I actually did see it.
you did too, Carrie?
Yeah, after the fact, got pictures.
Right. So we're still talking about Wheelock Street
right.
and not
so
the other.
Carrie, did you see it after the damage or after the repair?
I think it was after the repair, right? Yeah, it was after the repair.
Okay.
I got pictures of it. If you want me to hold it up. But
Yeah,
that's,
Mariah, I
I don't
prefer
know.
Mark.
They're
I
not
would
real.
prefer you Mark Stinson, or I don't like signing something that's not what happened.
Well, it's not, it is
Right.
what happened. So the start date is not the signature date, and I can ask him what he would prefer. But the start of the emergency permit is, I don't think it has to match the date that you voted it, because David Brule would usually be the signature on there, and he would come to you guys and you would vote on it. So the start date would usually be before you all would vote anyways, like the other ones. These ones have a start date, it's not today.
Mhm. So I think what Mike's concern is that this is work that has been done, and we are certifying that they can do the work after they've already done it. So I think that these are incredibly unusual circumstances, and we're just going to have to go with it. I did get a call from Glenn when I was out and away, and he probably wanted me to go up to see that, but I think they could, given the location, they couldn't keep waiting. So I missed that window. But anyway, I think that bureaucracy, what it is, it's good to have the paperwork. And I think we'll probably have to, unless you can always choose to vote negative or abstain if you feel that it isn't quite right. I understand, but I kind of am also going to tend to be very practical in a sense. We want to have the paperwork done. I'm pretty sure, I would like to think they did the job well and within what they were supposed to do. So that's my part of the discussion. If you want, are there other comments that people would like to raise during the comment period?
Well, just for reassurance, I'll say that I saw the damage, and it is as Mariah described it, with the road undercut and some evidence that additional excess water was coming from under the road, from that water that's upstream on the right of the road and has to cross right of the road, right, and has to cross under. So I saw it all, saw what it looked like, and the road was undercut and blocked off. And then, Carolyn, you've seen it since, Carrie.
Yeah.
You saw the repair. I would like to put in a comment at some, I don't know where it should be, that that somebody go back and double check regarding water that may have come down the road surface itself from other sources.
Yeah, I think we should bring that up right after the vote, because that merits probably some investigation. So so far we've had discussion and a motion, and I believe I made the motion to accept the emergency certification for Wheelock, and we have a second.
Yep.
And discussion period has happened. So all those in favor of accepting the emergency certification, albeit after the fact, for the work on Wheelock Road, please say aye. David Brule, aye.
Barry Berg, aye.
Mark Latchley, aye.
Morningstar Shenzhen, I.
Mike Shaffer, abstain.
Thank you, Mike. All right, so the vote is therefore 4 aye and 1 abstention, and the vote passes. So I did kind of call this agenda item a catch-all. So Mark's point raised about other sources, perhaps due to some irresponsibility of residents, additional water getting pouring onto the street and going where it was not supposed to, I guess. But what are your concerns, Mark?
The road may not have had an adequate gutter, so the water on the surface of the road, instead of being directed off into a hardened way of coming along the side of the road and then going into where the water was coming, was where the culvert went under the road. Instead, it ran along the side of the paving and added to the erosion of the paving. I'm not concerned that it's an issue with that landowner and their driveway. I mean, I think if we went around town looking for every driveway that put gravel and water on the streets, we would be, up all night. However, figuratively speaking, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm going to go over there and take a look at it and make a comment and maybe post a picture if there's anything I see that maybe at the next Concom meeting or
Mhm.
direct attention from the highway department to it.
Okay. Mariah, what's your take on that? You're probably more familiar with the site than we are, than anybody is.
I'm actually not, I haven't been out there since the storm,
Okay.
other than just driving by, but I do know
Mhm.
the highway department is very aware of, like many highway departments in small towns, the lack of adequate storm structures and swales. So I can talk to Glenn specifically about Wheelock Street. I don't know
Yeah.
in that particular area what the plan is, but
Mhm.
these orders are for emergency fixes. And in a lot of cases, we know that there's long-term work that will need to be done to mitigate future erosion.
Right.
So I
Okay.
can ask him what he thinks.
Sure. Good. I think it should be on our radar at any rate. Yes, Mark.
Why don't you just wait until I take a look at it and take a picture, and maybe Carrie, you can post your picture to the email
Yeah.
list. And
Yeah.
then we can just consider whether or not we want to even worry about it. They got enough stuff to worry about here in town
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now with various amounts of damage.
Sure. Okay. A quick reminder of a lesson we learned the hard way, because there was up near the curve where Christina's restaurant used to be, up on the other side towards the hill, there was a lot of, on the Irving side here, there was a considerable runoff, and one of our former commissioners got upset that there was excess water running off someone's driveway. And we were informed by Mark that we cannot ever go on private property to inspect whatever. We don't have the right. Possibly we could make observations from the street, but you don't want to step onto anybody's land. In any case, down the line, just keep that in mind. So we were at one point going to work on getting a drone so that we could view our wetlands in Irving and better monitor incursions and perhaps illegal brush cutting, and we are not allowed to do that either. So it's very restrictive, and besides, the selectmen, after initially following the plan to have someone trained to do zone work, I was about to say shot it down. That's kind of probably doesn't work in this circumstance. But they did steer us away from ever thinking about doing that. So just a word of caution. Unfortunately, we can't go, gangbusters. So I guess we've reached some kind of a closure on that for the time being.
I have a question, David, please. I don't know if it's due to the storm damage, but on Old State Road, they're redoing the culverts now. Do you know anything about that, Mariah? They're not quite down to the conservation land yet, but they were headed that direction. They're digging deep culverts and putting pavement in. So I don't know who's
I
paying
didn't see
for it.
the equipment anymore.
I'm sorry?
I didn't see any more heavy equipment when I came home. I think they should be done.
That would be
Approved it though.
that would be the town DPW doing that, or the state?
It was the state.
State, yeah. they kind of play loose and fast with the conservation commissions. But that's a good heads up. Maybe we can find out what they're doing there. I guess my sense of what you said, Mike, is that they are either digging new culverts, new.
New,
Catchment.
not ditches, not culverts, I'm sorry.
Okay.
They're ditches, and then around the culverts, they're putting asphalt to,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
and
yeah, they dug it up pretty good. Did notice that it's a lot deeper, it's a lot longer. It does have asphalt now, so that, you know, the water's definitely gonna go into the culvert now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One of the things, although, I mean, it's common sense that when you wind up channeling water over hard surface, that picks up some speed, and of course, and if it becomes off that bank and whips down a paved culvert, paved asphalt channel and into a catch basin, it might overwhelm that catch basin pretty fast, given some of the storms we have. But there's not much we can do about that. But that kind of is what happens when you channel, straighten rivers and streams and everything else. So,
that
okay.
reminds me of, David, when we met with the Carrie with Raya last Friday, Peter, the engineer, was there, and he's characterizing the stream down as a channel, even like by Linda and Bill. He said that's like a channel because they built the walls so
Yeah.
high in there, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So that, I mean, you've seen it all over the country, but certainly when they're over in the Mississippi, when they're building up those levees, I mean, it just, doesn't give water a chance to spread. But this is like so historical in the downtown center of Irving, which is my next point, because I know there was damage there. And right now, I don't know what that means, either for the Concom or the people whose property was damaged. Does anybody have some insights on that? Mariah, yeah, go ahead.
So the way that this will work is if a private property owner has damage due to the storms, they'll come to the Concom or me and fill out, basically they'll up a proposal on the work that would need to be done to mitigate the emergency damage. Then you would basically do the same exact thing you did for the work, but for the private property owner. So they would have to come to you with what work to be done and how they're going to do it. Just like we're going to put riprap in, trucks will bring out the concrete, yada yada yada. The key thing, the proposal has to be from the landowner.
Yeah.
So in the Church Street, North Street area, the bank of the channel, in most cases, are owned by the property owners on the North Street side.
Mm-hmm.
So even if something seems like it's in someone's backyard on Church Street, it may not actually belong to them.
Right.
So they can have whatever kind of partnership they want or whatever kind of deal they want with their neighbors to fix it. But we cannot approve someone to do work on property that is not their own.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's just one thing that we have to be careful of.
Yeah. So
And
I might have missed just a point of information. They would come to us more than likely with a notice of intent, right? I mean, they're not going to get an RDA.
So that's what I'm saying, is if it's emergency work, they'll come and get the emergency permit like what you just signed.
Oh, okay.
If they want to do long-term project or something that's not just fixing the damage, then they would come to you with a notice of intent.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I get it.
I don't think that's what Mark Stinson said. He said that it's not an emergency. He didn't see that as an emergency fixing the bank. Can you check?
No, that's what he said. So he said that fixing the bank would constitute the emergency permit, but long-term removing the channel or fixing the channel, that would not be emergency work.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I think what we should do before the property owners go through some kind of process and paperwork, we got to be sure that they understand and that we understand what they're asking to do, because clearly that Keyup Brook is what they call the cold water fisheries, and there's all kinds of people who get involved in not that it's a bad thing, that get involved with permitting. I don't know if the Army Corps is involved with something like that, but certainly Mass Fish and Wildlife could. I have no idea. But we do have to have our ducks in a row to be sure as to what the residents are going to be obliged to do.
I'd like to get Ward Smith involved too,
Yeah.
please, on
Yeah.
this right off.
Yeah, good. I'll make it a point to write. I did contact him, but he possibly has other other commitments. But yeah. So is that? I mean, I've heard Bill Bembry's name mentioned a couple of times. Is that his part of his property is at issue? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the right behind Bill and Linda's house, there was some erosion. Then a few houses, the bank also eroded, and then the house that is behind the old town hall site, it looks like the water went straight into the basement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's abandoned, so I don't know what the extent of the damage is. We haven't talked to the owner of the property, but from Linda and Bill's backyard, you can basically see into their basement from the stream bed.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining that the damage is pretty extensive.
So
So in terms of what Mike was talking about, fixing things like if there's areas that are completely unstable because of the erosion, that would constitute the emergency permit. If they're talking about doing something like that's when the NOI would come in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll get some advice. Morningstar.
I just want to know, I'm experiencing when Mariah speaks a big echo, and so I don't get
Yeah.
all the words.
Yeah, Mariah, you seem to be breaking up on occasion, so.
I don't know.
Oh, that was clear.
Yeah. Mm. Okay,
think
well, I mean, go ahead, Mark.
I think the clear point the clear thing at this point is that this has got to be initiated by the landowner, and they'll come to us with whichever of the forms. And while they might get some advice from town and through you, Mariah, it's, you know, we don't do anything until we see something come to us from the owner of the property.
Mhm.
And
Right. And I think, you know, a case in point is well, with guidance from Mariah, the people, I hope the residents will word the request properly, because we have to make a distinction between what is emergency repair work and what is restoration or rehabbing that property. So it'll be, the vocabulary is going to be a little, we have to be careful of what we're going to receive and what the wording is going to say.
And I did do a handout. I typed up a handout that I passed out by hand last week to the owners along Keyup Brook,
Right.
just letting them know the process.
Okay, great. Yeah, I did see that you sent it. I didn't get a chance to read it, but I will make a copy of that. Anything, I think we covered both C and D.
one quick
Oh,
addition, could you post or attach that to an email, Mariah? The
Okay.
notice that's to them.
Yeah. So we kind of melded C and D together, but I think it's getting clear for everybody. My only point is that because of the nature of the stream and the fresh cold water fisheries status, we have to be really careful about what we sign off on and what the wording is when the requests come to us. So I think Mark Stinson will be, you know, right on top of that, and we'll be able to really give us some clear guidance. But I would want Ward Smith to get involved too, as Mike has suggested. So, anything else on all aspects of the flooding damage? Okay. If everybody's satisfied that we know as much as we could know about it, we'll move on. Mariah, this is a posted public hearing now, item 5.
Yes. And
Okay.
I am just gonna call out that you do have an attendee now. I don't know, I didn't check in the
Okay.
past half hour or so, but just so you know.
Okay. Does that attendee want to identify him or herself, or is this
I
an
don't know.
interested public,
I
or
will
is it?
I'll unmute them, and if you'd like to say something, you can.
Okay. Before I open the public hearing, right?
No, I would just open the public hearing, and then in the public hearing, if anyone wants to make comments, then
Okay.
you can.
Yeah. I just was trying to probe to see if that person was.
I'm not
you know,
sure.
interested. Okay, got it. So I don't have a clock, but I think Mariah can tell us that we are opening the public hearing at
7:07.
7:07.
Again?
7:07.
7:07. Thank you. So there has been an RDA posted by the town for proposed work. Has everybody gotten a chance to scan this or check it out, or there's been copies around? I did read it earlier today. Can I summarize it, and then Mariah will correct everything that I got wrong, and then we will decide. But my sense, to cut to the chase, is we've got in Irvingside here, there's more sidewalk work coming up. And based on my knowledge of the town and what I was able to read, the streets, which are Central Street, Park Street, Gunn Street, and Pratt Street, are pretty far from wetlands resource areas. Now, I may be wrong. The proponent, the town and their engineers seem to indicate that there were no wetlands interests involved, but I may be wrong in my reading. So if you are familiar with the streets in question, Gunn and Pratt, our streets are just above where Morningstar and I live. And then Central and Park Streets are over near the old library, the little tiny building. So that's what I know. I think, like I said, I want to cut to the chase. I don't see wetlands issues in this, and I'm really happy that the town filed a request. That way we have a paper trail. But I'll stop there, and maybe Mariah can fill us in on anything that I might have misconstrued.
I think that's pretty
Hey,
accurate.
Mariah.
I'll just show you. Yes, is that Brandon?
This is Bill from Weston Sampson.
Oh, hi.
Hi. So if I could just say, there is a little bit of riverfront associated with the Millers River at the lower ends of both Gunn and Pratt. Probably about 20 or 30 feet at each road.
Yeah, I have it up on the screen. You can see the corner of Pratt and Leicester Streets. There's a little bit. And then here on Gunn Street, this lower part, this is the intersection with River Street and Leicester Street. And you can see that there's, I don't know how many feet that is, but it's a short section of sidewalk that is within the 200-foot riverfront area. So not very much.
And it's all remove and replace. It all exists now. So we're not increasing, impervious area within the riverfront.
Correct.
You have to excuse me. I don't know who the person is. Who is the guest?
Oh, it's Bill from West End Sampson, our engineer,
Okay,
who put
good.
together
Okay.
the drawings.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Good. I wasn't sure which Bill it was. I heard that part, but I couldn't hear the rest. Okay. So to Bill's point that there's a small stretch that might be within the Millers River setback. Is that what we're saying?
Yep. And for Morningstar, I know you had some questions about different things. The RDA is just determining whether the wetlands law is applicable. And there's usually kind of not quite exceptions, but it's usually not applicable if it's not actually changing much of anything.
Yeah, dredge, alter, fill is
Right,
the
and-
question.
Right, and Bill's point that there's already sidewalk in all these places. We're just, ripping up old sidewalk and replacing it with new sidewalk.
So it's kind of like Morningstar, like coming down my street. The sidewalk is definitely was within the 200-foot setback from the Millers. But, what was interesting is when they were working on our street, the wetlands people were down here all over the place flagging, the boundaries. So, but clearly in a commonsensical way, their work on the sidewalk in front of my house or the other houses down on River Street was not going to impact negatively, alter, dredge, or fill the protected areas. So our decision would be to find either a positive or a negative determination. And so that's where we're headed eventually after we finish discussing and informing ourselves. So, okay.
Just a question, when the sidewalk work is done, is there any like runoff that goes into the river? I don't know how it would affect the soil or what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess that's the question.
Yeah. So if Bill is still there, maybe he could.
I am, and my apologies for driving while doing this. There will be limited disturbance. The sidewalk is going right back in the same spot. There will be limited disturbance, to facilitate the construction of the sidewalks, and that will be loamed and seeded. But these areas are going to be quite small, probably a foot wide, on either side of the sidewalk. That will be loamed and seeded. The work will be done in the early fall, so the seed should take fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm. So to refresh my memory, we're talking about Gunn and Pratt as being close or into the Millers River riverfront setback, right? Those are the two streets. Right. Do you have in your plan anticipation of putting in the siltation barriers, or do you think it's not necessary?
No, we will be calling out for inlet protection on all catch basins within the work.
I'm not sure I understood that.
No.
We'll be putting like the silt bags inside every catch basin.
Yeah.
You're cutting out, Bill, but what he's saying is that there'll be silt protection around the stormwater inlets so that there isn't silt being dumped into the stormwater collection system.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So, good. Other questions about this project? No? Okay. So, Raya, I fished out a determination of applicability. If I could find it, I have to shuffle through the papers, but what's your take on this in terms of what the commission would narrow down their findings on this before we vote? While I look for my papers.
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but let's see.
I think it was like number 3, isn't it? We would approve with the conditions of adding erosion, whatever that Bill said he'd put erosion control around the basins.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
unless that's
negative.
already, I have to step away to find my file.
Negative number 3 is, I think, what we want.
That's what we do a lot of, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
With conditions.
Because it does remove fill and dredge, but it does not alter.
That's hard to read, Mariah, for me. I don't know if other people can read it. Thank you.
Yep.
That's better. Yeah, the work described in the request is within the buffer zone as defined in regulations, but will not alter an area subject to protection under the act. Therefore, said work does not require the filing a notice of intent subject to the following conditions, if any. So then we could add in whatever you want to add.
Mhm.
And Beth always had the best wording for these things. I don't know. Could we copy something from another one for a sediment? You know, Mark, how we should word that for erosion control, like we did at Swamp Road?
No idea.
Well,
Well, you don't really need to require erosion control going into the river like we did at River Street. It's just, they're already in the plans, they're already planning on doing erosion control or, silt sediment catching around the catch basins.
that was my sense, is that the plan is already in place to, I mean, it's best practices. And so we might write a catch-all sentence such as the work will be performed and under standards of the best practices for erosion controls, period. Because I think it's so minimal that, and they already are planning on making sure that any sediment in a runoff would be filtered out. So if that's, can everybody live with that, or would you like something even more stringent?
I
Or
can live with that.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah, okay. So essentially, the wording is something like the proponent will follow best practices in preventing siltation from entering catch basins or runoff into areas protected, and that should be a catch-all.
Yeah, we should save that phrase for another time as well.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, I probably have it in, or Mariah has it in our files for the work done at on River Street. But this is, as I said, knowing this part of the town, those streets are pretty removed from any sensitive area. Strictly speaking, there clearly is somewhere a bit of the project that would be within the 200 feet of the Millers River on the western side of the village here, but again, it's very minimal. So, okay, so I'll make a motion that we find a negative determination, checking the box 3 with the following conditions that we have already cited. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So further discussion. Seeing none and hearing none, we will take a vote. David Brule, aye.
Carrie Berg, aye.
Mark Blatchley, aye.
Martin Sarchendan, aye.
Mike Schaefer, aye.
Okay, thank you. So it is unanimous. So that means, Mariah, that's another paper we need to sign in the foyer. So we've got 1, 2, 3 emergency certifications plus this determination, right? Okay.
Correct.
Get
And
out
I
your
just want to be
pens.
clear that if there's anyone else out there who wants to make comments, that
Mhm.
make them, because I think they have, but okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Item 6, Mike, do you want to address
Thank
this?
Oh, was that Bill?
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
So item 6?
We can bring up maybe my spreadsheet if you have it, Mariah. I sent it out today, but
Yeah, give me 1 second. You can
Mark-
talk about it.
Mark and I have been trying to figure out the best way to train people on this, and we're still learning, so it's hard to train people when we don't know.
Well, my concern is that I don't know what I did or what anybody did for me other than just give me a password, and I don't even remember who gave me a password for that. But and you know, looking at the permit tracker that you built isn't what we're talking about. What we're talking about is what do we do? How do we access, or how do other people access the building permit site?
Maybe that would be, well, Chris from FERCog sends out a notice to the Conservation Commission that we have a permit that we have to look at, and there's a link to that permit tracker. And my phone remembered my password. Mariah set it up about 1.5 years ago, I think. I don't remember mine either right now, but my phone is.
So you all have logins. If you don't remember yours, I can give it to you, or you can reset it with Chris Brothers at FERCog. But you should all be able to log in and see this.
And I don't know about getting a login, so.
I believe you have one, Morningstar, but I can double check and send it back out to you so that you have it.
Okay.
So they usually say, not all of these need to be addressed by the Conservation Commission. They'll tell you which one. And the last one, I can't see it very well, Mariah, but 33 North Street, I think it was, is the one that Mark just did and is pending.
It says waiting for sign off, and we haven't signed off on it. And they need to file some paperwork. I said it was within jurisdictional distance, and then I didn't know who took it from there.
Right.
My understanding was I was just looking at them and using the state maps, the GIS map, and the measurement tool that's on that, measuring the distance to, in this case, a foundation drain that they want to put in. And since that's within jurisdictional distance, they have to file a piece,
Yeah, so usually, David, I believe you talked to the folks, and I think it was you and Sid in the past who had talked to folks and let them know that they either need to file an RDA or an NOI.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good. Now, when this is kind of a training tool, but if you go over to one of the menus, Mariah, and open it up for that one, it will tell you quite a bit about, I think it's that one. Yeah. And you can scroll down and it tells you what they're doing in red. Install foundation drain with stone, widen driveway, sewer lines, and well have been located and will be worked around accordingly. So, and then it's got the information in there, who the owner is, and so that's where I go to find out what the project is, and then usually I do a drive-by, and could we bring up Oliver too, just so we can show people? That's what Mark was talking about. It's Morningstar. This is a great tool if you can learn to use it. I'm not that great at it, but there's some overlays for just the DEP, right?
Yeah, I always forget. It's hydrography, DEP wetlands. I think I had sent this to you, Morningstar, the list that you go through, but it's physical resources, and then it's hydrography, features, and then DEP wetlands, and then you can zoom to a town,
Mhm.
maybe.
You're not gonna break it, Morningstar. I've tried. It hasn't.
Yeah, you have to put in, oh, yeah, you're gonna do the address. I was gonna say, if you put in the town, you have to do it in caps or it won't take you there.
Oh, well, yeah, and then if you turn on,
So you can see where let's see, which way, it was at the 11 North Street?
33.
33, so going up the road a bit to 33. There it is. No, that's not it.
oops.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one who has a not
There we
good.
go.
There it is.
So-
Okay, it's on the
but-
left side.
If you look down on the left corner, there's a measurement tool, and you can just put it into feet because you got and then you're in meters now, units, feet, and then just draw a line from the brook to the property. And it says 77 feet. So it's obviously within jurisdiction. And also, since it's a drain, it's got to drain somewhere. And I'm like, they got to file for this. We have to do, maybe, I don't know if we can do site visits or whatever, but they have to do a little more with this. It's not something we just sign off.
Right. So and then it comes down to who's gonna contact them to tell them they need to do an RDA, and that's kind of where this project's at right now.
Okay, when were you first notified of this? We gotta,
July 22nd,
July, that's, okay, the date is, okay, got it.
and
Um,
I updated the FERCog on July 27th that we're gonna need more information, and RDA requested, or will be. But no one's really, I think Mariah had an idea, maybe there's a way that we can use the permit process to let them know what to do, but I don't know, Mariah, that would be good if we could figure something out.
So I believe in the permit, you have their email address. So if you'd like, I can make a form that says, you can check off, we need an RDA, for this project or whatever, just so a standard form that then you could email to them. I think your idea of also putting it just in the permit notes, I don't know. I assume that goes back to the building inspector, and that they're notified, but I don't really know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know either.
David, when you and Sid were doing it, did you just reach out directly to the folks?
Yeah, usually, I mean, we were doing it kind of old school. We would say they would be notified that they should come to a meeting and get some information, and we'd hand them a form, and then they'd go fill it out. And then at the next meeting, we would have published the hearing. But like I said, that's kind of old school. Things seem to be more streamlined right now. But people, I think someone mentioned that people can get kind of aggravated by having to wait. But that's why I was looking at the dates. So if Mike heard of this initially on July 22nd, then within a reasonable amount of time, they should be informed that they need to take it a little bit further. So that's how I would see it going forward. So we're on August 3rd. if there is a way for me to get in touch with them, I'll just, drop them a line or call them and say, this is what you got to do. They should, at any rate, they should file an RDA, and I would hope that they would not have to go through a notice of intent. I guess what we would do, I mean, if you are feeling that's the way it should happen, then I can call them or write them saying, go online, get a RDA and send it to us as soon as you can. In the meantime, we should line up a site visit once we get that RDA, and we enough of us could go look, but I would drag along Ward Smith just to be sure, because we've gone through this before where we thought we were doing it right up on Swamp Road, and Mark found every single thing under the sun wrong with it. So that shot my confidence. I don't want to put something in writing that is really erroneous without having it good. So do you all see that as, am I off base with that, or is that okay? Or what do you?
That seems right to me.
It seems
Yeah.
right.
Seems good.
I mean, I know people are in a rush to get things done, but hey, the law gives us and gives them time frames in which to work. So if I don't know, Mariah, if you sent me their contact already, or if Mike did.
So you should have a login to the permit thing, and if you don't, I can send you the login, and then you can go in there and access their information.
Can I'll say this to be honest. I probably won't log in. I probably won't deal with that. I just it's too much for me to deal with.
I did
I've got
send
too many
you
projects.
in
Okay, I knew somebody had.
in the
Thank you.
email from Chris, it gives you quite a bit of information.
Okay, and you sent it to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if that's not enough, I can try to get you more, but.
Okay, well,
But right,
again,
yeah,
again, I think, that essentially they have to know that they have to file some paperwork. And then as soon as we get that, we'll go see. And it may not require, I mean, we have to know where, like Mark said, we got to know where that water is going to go. If they got a drainage system, are they going to hook up with a culvert or something on the street or whatever? But we know nothing right now. So that's how I would proceed. First step would be me telling them to get an RDA form.
And I'll send you, I just took a screenshot of their information, but I'll also send you the PDF version of the RDA or a link to it online, so that when you tell them to file an RDA, they'll have a copy of it.
Okay. Oh, they have it right there. Okay. Yeah. That's very accommodating. Usually in the past, we just told people to go online and find it, So, yep.
David, I think
Okay.
it's, why it's nice if you're calling them, you can answer their questions better than I can.
Yeah,
or
to
somebody
my
else.
extent, yeah, to the extent possible, I'll do that. But I will, yeah, I'll be the first one to contact them and tell them or share with them the RDA information, and then explain to them the time frame that we're going to be dealing with, which would be, if they get on the ball and get it to us, we will be able to post it for the September meeting. I guess that's the best we can do. Okay? Good. All right. Anything else on that particular topic? Poplar Mountain.
I was just trying to get so I could get it. I put together a document detailing things that have happened during the summer. There's a trail counter there, then, so we should eventually know more. Oh, there, how did that come up? Did you pull that up? Anyway, this is just a rough draft that I sent out to the people who volunteered and who've done things to come up with anything additional, work. And I was gonna submit it to tonight, but I'm thinking it's, I should wait for their input since they were some of the people who've been out walking in the area. There's no significant damage. All trails are open. Blazes are good. Have been done within the last couple of years. We're going to put up. We have Harry Sharbo is making signs to post at the ends of the white trail, saying that it's an unfinished trail. Other than that, there's not really much to say unless you get into the details, the mud and tree limbs of the details. There are some trees that need to be taken down up above, and I'll see if I can get somebody else or myself or my friend that went with me before to cut stuff up to work on those. There's brushing out that needs to be done. We need to find somebody who wants to do that. The survey, originally towards the beginning of the summer, the word was out that we were going to have a survey, that we had gotten a grant. Isn't that right, Mariah, to do the
I've
survey?
applied for a grant to do that. We haven't gotten that. And that would be, well, there's two different things. So we have a grant to do the trails. That's not a survey. And I've applied for a grant to do some other work on Poplar Mountain. The survey that you all have of that property is the one that is attached to the deed. And I know that some folks have expressed that they're not sure if it's accurate, but that should have been addressed when we took the property with the deed, because now it's attached to the deed.
Well, the survey did not include the property on the other side of the hill there that we acquired. That additional little bump up that would be to the northwest, and that's not in that survey. There's also, I went back to the deed, which was a lot of fun, and found the original survey that comes with the deed to that covers our boundary with Poverty Mountain, which is the one place that there's some question, and there's an error, and very clearly there's an error. And I've talked to the surveyor about it, and it's been a while since that was done, so he has no recollection as to why he didn't put that segment in. Also finding the anchor for the corner is not very easy.
Yeah, I spoke with Brian about that, and I think we can ask him how much it would cost to come re-identify that corner marker and put an iron pin in there, so that in the future we don't have to find a stack of rocks. I think ultimately you guys have a lot of other work to do besides extending the white trail, so maybe you just wait, because resurveying that property, even if you just did the new property, would be a lot of money and a lot of work, especially when you already have one survey. So that would be my recommendation, would be, thank you for doing all of that research, but unless you plan on resurveying it and fixing the deed, that is what you have right now.
Well, it's not our deed that was based on. That was based on Poverty Mountain's deed. He took all the angles and lengths and distances off of their deed. So I'm not sure how he located that pin or that pile of rocks. So regardless, that the only thing that would have anything to do with is, there was a large group of individuals that put work into doing the ascent at the east end of the White Trail, and I don't think that's going to come up again for another year. I don't think they do that except annually. But the top of the hill, where that trail end or where that work would end, is clearly on our property. So if we do that and just drop it there, leave the unfinished trail signs up, yeah, not, do nothing more up there. There's nothing more in the way of extending or making anything different other than the parking area project, and as I said, putting up a couple of signs here or there, getting that trail count. I've been looking around to see if there's who to turn to for a wildlife assessment. Haven't come up with anything. I've got yet, no progress particularly on that. So that's about all I can say. Go ahead.
I was just going to add two things. So one is that Brian and I have talked, and I know that previously when you spoke with the Nevilles, it was discussed marking the boundary line between the town property and the Shaffer's property and the Neville's property. We can do that probably when the leaves clear. It'll just be a lot easier without as much brush in the way. We can string that easternmost property line and mark the boundary line. And Brian would like to post little signs that just say private property or end of public property kind of thing, or end of town forest. That way no one is walking onto private property. So we can do that this fall. The second thing is if you all want to do more work at Poplar Mountain next year, the capital planning season is coming up, and you can submit capital requests for projects like if you want to have a wildlife assessment done, or for benches, or more than benches, more than $5,000, but any bigger projects that you want done there, invasive management, things like that, you could apply for. So that's just an FYI to keep in mind as you're thinking about projects to do there or elsewhere. Those are requests that you can put in this fall.
Brian also mentioned to me that we could put in a line item every year for like trail maintenance or something,
Correct. Yeah, when you submit your budget, you can do that.
I don't know that I think I may have said this at one point in some email exchange. My view of this is that the conservation area there is gonna get its highest use if we continue to build volunteers that want to work on it and continue to reach out to more to people who come to use it and say, hey, how would you like to come and help us do this, that, or the other? And so that would leave the only significant work that would need to be done that would cost anything would be involved in that parking area. Trail work is not for this kind of place. It isn't a big deal. It's not something we would be spending a significant amount of money doing trail work on. And I don't think it would be a very good idea to have equipment. I know there's been some talk of getting equipment for use on the property, but that may bring with it other headaches that I'm not sure we're not that organized for. We don't have that big a piece of property to manage. We don't have that big a group of volunteers. I mean, most of anything that's been done in the last, including surveying trails to see if there was any need for something to be done, has been done by a handful of people. Less than a half dozen individuals have been on the property to do some kind of activity on it. Surveying, looking for damage, cutting a tree out of the way, whatever. And in fact, currently there's nothing that you can't step over or walk under. There's no big trees came down in any of our storms or anything. So there's no major projects there. And if we're, you know, we don't need to put the white trail the rest of the way up if we're not going to be able to complete it at the top, you know. So we can just let things go as they are. As I say, I think it's mostly a volunteer driven place.
Mm-hmm. Good. I like the sounds of that, although, you know, being a person who likes to imagine the least amount of intrusion possible, although when you've got hiking trails, I don't know the extent to which we have to go mount a PR campaign or come and use the mountain. People hear about it, the ones who are interested. It's just me talking. But I want to echo what I think Mark mentioned, and certainly Rob did, which is the original intent is preservation of the land. And we're not seeking a high level of frequentation of human beings, but want to make it accessible. But I think the parking lot project is going to take a lot of our attention for in the next, you know, foreseeable future. So getting that done would be the main thing. And having, as long as Mark says there's no hazards on the trail right now, that's good news to me.
By the next meeting, I'll turn this draft into a, you know, a finished document, given
Sure.
any input that other people give me. I want to ask, you know, when was the last time we talked to Paul Neville about his property and such? I know I spent about an hour or maybe even a little longer than that walking
I think
around.
you were the last person.
Yeah, I met him there after he made those concerns, and we sat and talked and had fruit together in his garage and walked around his property and up to the boundaries and you know, and then back. And I also when I did have to go in and cut one tree out of the way and get a chainsaw up, I sent him a notice and said, I don't know if you'll hear this, but I'm going to be up there on whatever day. And I think we should do that with any person, that any neighbor that expresses concern. I think we should notify them if we're doing any work with a chainsaw or a large group of people in the future. I think it should be our best practice to say to a neighbor, you know.
Good, sounds
"Hey,
good.
we're gonna be there."
Simple courtesy is always a good thing. Yeah, morning star.
Would that give them the ability to say, you know, could you not do it this weekend and do it next weekend? Or would it just be, we're doing this?
Well, I would assume we're trying to have good neighbors and be good neighbors. And if somebody said, oh, by the way, I'm having a house party in the afternoon, and I'd appreciate it if it wasn't interrupted by a chainsaw, that makes perfect sense to me.
Right.
I know I'm retired and I'm not going to be working mostly on weekends or even Friday evenings. You know, if I'm going to do something with somebody or go up there with somebody to cut something out of the way, I'm going to go up, you know, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Not party times.
Right. Okay, it's a pretty complete report. Anybody have any other comments about the Poplar Mountain spot? What
I
we
had
wanted.
one more, David, that it was, Mark brought up a topic of looking at trails on the other side of the road in an email. Mark, did you want to talk about that, Mark?
I don't. I think what goes on is those people who walk on the land, and you and others that are neighbors, who go past it regularly. You know, if people have ideas, and you know, I think they'll be chit chatted about and discussed until there's, you know, a significant amount of interest. I mean, it seems to me it'd be nice to have a history oriented trail down to the cemetery, but I don't know who would use that, so I'm not interested in getting all involved and worrying about it or marking something or scouting it even. I think I mentioned in the report that individuals have mentioned watching the sunset from on top of the mountain. And I don't know where they do that because all of our current overlooks face the wrong direction. It's great for watching the morning, but it'd be meaningful, that other chunk of property that we have that crosses the power line. You know, there must be an overlook over there that somebody's using, and it'd be reasonable to have a trail there. But if, you know, all I have is one report of somebody who goes over there and watches the sunset, then why put the energy into it until we have more use?
Sure.
I think there's a thing about you
To
don't
kind
build.
of keep on the radar though, because I remember Rob mentioning something about the land across the street too.
Yes, well, he's the one who's mentioned, because he's walked all over anything that's got woods there. He's walked on. And
Reason
he
I would
mentions
think it might
land
be,
and other things.
I think it might not be quite as steep on the other side of the road. I'm not sure.
Oh, it gets, I've been down there, and there's ravines, and there's a lot. It's actually a jungle of bittersweet. I mean, it's, you know, it's not our land as a conservation area. But if there's a place that needs some work done to remove, well, both buckthorn and bittersweet, which are heavy duty invasives and capable of changing the environment significantly, that's where it is. It's not on not on Poplar Mountain. It's on the other side of the road.
Okay. My sense is that it's a challenge to be looking for more work. So it sounds like a trail on the other side of the road that is not our Concom purview to begin with is challenging, but you know, if people want to undertake something like that, I'd be interested in the sense that if there were a trail that could be what one would call a nature trail for viewing bird life or interesting vegetation other than buckthorn and bittersweet, possibly a plan somewhere down the line. So I'm going to close on that. I have one topic that is going to just be tabled, but I think you all received a message that I received from the Connecticut River Conservancy about concerns of these newly discovered ubiquitous chemicals that all of a sudden are really popular among people who are trying to sleuth out what's in our water. And the Connecticut River Conservancy letter addressed specifically the Irving treatment plants. And so I'd have to reread the letter. I don't know if you remember that. It was about 3 weeks ago, but I would put that on the next agenda. Just is it, remind me, Morningstar, is it, I think and Mariah probably does, maybe everybody does. I think it's PFAS, yeah. And so FAPs.
PFAS.
All right. I should have remembered that, but anyway, so those are the new it's a new issue that people want to have us be concerned about. Yeah, here it is. Thank you. And I thought if in rereading the letter, we might consider inviting someone like Pete Sanders or one of the operators, or even Ivan Yusak, who is the administrator of the Millis River Watershed Council, just to a meeting if we have time at some point, just to get the lowdown. I think it's kind of breaking news. So that's all. I just wanted to raise that issue again, and I'll go back to read read the letter again closely, but I did share it because I thought when I saw Irving coming up, I said, well, maybe we should look at it.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And I just wanted to ask a question. What is POTW? That was in that letter.
Yeah. What is it called? Post something. It's a treatment plant logo. Treatment referring to. I knew that at one point. Wastewater treatment plant. something like that.
Publicly owned treatment works, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
treatment works. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what they typically designate the two Irving treatment plants as.
Okay.
And I think the message, the letter pointed out to all of us that a lot of the material entering both of those treatment plants is industrial, work from the paper mill. So, it's a complicated little town, and certainly our treatment plants have processed their share of industrial waste. So anyway, keep that on the radar. We'll go back and perhaps Morningstar and I can put our heads together and try to come up with a coherent discussion about our concerns. And we might be able to invite a couple of individuals just to share their information. So anything else before we adjourn? No, very good. Thank you.
Mariah, could you update us on the mosquito thing? I see your emails on that. So,
The update is that there isn't really an update, just everything I've sent out through email. So the mosquito control alternative plan that was developed was turned down by the state. It appears that in Franklin County, if not across the state, they rejected all alternative applications from moderate deemed communities. And that is that for this year. So the reps and senators are having a conversation about why they even accepted alternative requests from us if that was just going to be turned down. But as of right now, there's no further action required. Brian did request a couple times a meeting with someone from the whatever the thing is called, but there hasn't been a response.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks. We have to, that's a battle we've got to really be concerned about. So I hope that we have some opportunity to come up with something acceptable, or at least participate in the mosquito control organization that oversees this district. So we'll see. Okay, thanks for that. I didn't see that anywhere. I did see that Orange was turned down, but I didn't know Irving was also turned down. So
Yeah, everybody was turned down.
yeah, all right. Okay, very good. All right, thank you all. I think it's time to say goodbye. And we will be in touch right after Labor Day, right? So have a good month of August, and we'll see you soon enough on the street or elsewhere. Okay, bye now. Thanks,
Bye.
Mariah, for taking care of it.
Bye.
We'll be in touch, everybody. Bye now. Don't forget to sign at the town hall.
Okay.
See you.